Hello students, welcome back to computer science classes of class 12. Hope all of you are doing well. Let us see what we are going to learn today. So this is the computer networks second part. Let us see what are the different topics that we are going to cover today in this session. First we have to learn what are the different types of network, then the data communication terminologies, some concept of channel, bandwidth, data transfer rate, and transmission media, the wired one. The wireless one we will be studying in the next session. Now, types of network. As we all know, a network is nothing but some small group of interconnected or interlinked computers. So, we can say the computers can be localized or spread around the world. Those networks vary in terms of their size and complexity. Sometimes it is very small, which is just inside your building, or sometimes it is very large, spreading throughout the country or the world. Now let us see the types, starting with LAN, that is local area network. In a LAN, network devices are connected over a relative short distance and it is restricted to a building. So one LAN can even be connected to another LANs over any distance via telephone lines or radio waves. And let us see what is MAN. It is Metropolitan Area Network. This is basically a bigger version of LAN and normally uses similar technology. This is a network which spans a physical area which is ranging from 5 to 50 km in diameter, and that is larger than LAN but smaller than WAN. So MAN is in between LAN and WAN. Now let us see what is WAN. WAN is wide area network, which spans means which is spread throughout a large geographical area, often a country or continent, and uses various commercial and private communication lines to connect computers. For example, www. Now next we have got PAN, Personal Area Network. What else I have to explain about it? This is very common that we do. We normally keep doing at our home using our hotspots and all. So it is basically around an individual person or personal area networks typically involve mobile computer, a cell phone or handheld computing devices like PD and all. Now next we will learn some communication technologies. First one we have got channel. A communication channel is the medium with which we can transfer our message from one point to another. Here the point is nothing but the sender and the receiver. So the pathway where the data is transferred between remote devices is actually the channel. So a channel can be a telephone line or an optical fiber or anything. So depending upon their speed, we can categorize the channel in some categories. First we have got narrow band, then voice band and the broadband. What is this narrow band? Narrow band is very slow and it is used for telegraph lines or low speed terminals, whereas voice band is used for ordinary telephone communication. And the last one, that is broadband, which is very fast and is used for transmitting large volumes of data at high speeds. So these are the three categories. Now moving to bandwidth. Bandwidth refers to the range of frequencies available for transmission of data. What range of frequency we are having, that is your bandwidth. You can also say bandwidth is expressed in hertz, and it is the difference between the highest frequency and the lowest frequency. So you can have a conclusion that wider the bandwidth of a communication system, greater is the capacity, and hence greater is the amount of data that can be transferred over a period of time. So bandwidth is nothing but transfer. Now let us see what is data transfer rate. When we have learned bandwidth, we should also know what is data transfer rate. So data transfer rate is nothing but the amount of data that has been transferred from one place to another. So this data transfer rate is directly proportional to the bandwidth. More the bandwidth, more will be the data transfer. And this data transfer is measured in bits per second. You can also call it as baud. Okay. So it is commonly used to measure how fast the data is transferred from one place to another or one end to another. For example, our ISP may offer an internet connection with maximum data transfer rate of 4 Mbps. This is megabits per second. Now let us see what are the transmission media. A transmission media is one which carries a signal from one computer to another. This is basically the channel. So this transmission media can be categorized in two categories. One is wired one, we also call it as guided media, and the wireless one, we also call it as unguided media. So in this session, we will be covering the wired media. So wired transmission media is actually physical existing. It physically connects the two computers. The data signal physically gets transferred from the transmitting computer to the receiving computer. So let us have some types or some examples of transmission media. These are twisted pair cables, coaxial cables, and optical fibers. So we will be learning in a brief and detailed manner these three cables. Starting with twisted pair cables, it is the common form of wiring, specially used in LANs. It consists of two insulated wires, you can see in the picture, arranged in a regular spiral pattern or double helix. You must have done the DNA structure in biology like this. Okay, so this is the two wires. Now, moving to next, it is generally used for telephone communication in offices, also for modern Ethernet networks, and for telecommunication, a voice grade medium cable is used, but for LAN applications, it is used as data grade medium. So these are the two categories of these twisted pair cables. Now, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Advantages of twisted pair cable is it is capable of carrying signal over long distances without amplification. It does not require any amplification. It is simple, low weight, easy to install and easy to maintain. I do not have to learn much about it. It is an adequate and least expensive medium for low speed. Till 10 Mbps, it can work easily. Very finely it can work. Then what are the disadvantages? When there is some advantage, there must be some disadvantage. It is easily picking up the noise signals. So the noise can be very easily picked by it. And being very thin in size, it is likely to break. And one more, unsuitable for broadband applications. Obviously, there are two different types of twisted pair cables. You can see in the figure, one is UTP and another is STP. The UTP stands for unshielded twisted pair and STP stands for shielded twisted pair. The STP cable comes with a shielding of the individual pairs of wires, which further protects it from the external interference or crosstalk. But STP is heavier and costlier than UTP and also requires proper grounding at both the ends. So you have understood what is the difference between STP and UTP. Now moving to coaxial cables. The commonly used transmission media for lamps. It consists of solid wire cores. You can see the parts. It has got on the top as a plastic jacket, then the metallic shield, then the insulator and the central core. So the inner core carries the signal and the shield provides the ground. Okay. Now what is the advantage and disadvantage? Advantages of coaxial cables are the data transmission characteristics are better than the twisted pair. It can be used for broadband communication, like several channels can be transmitted simultaneously, like your cable wires, your TV cable wires you use, that is your coaxial cable only. It offers high bandwidth up to 400 Mbps and it can be used on the basis of shared cable network. What are the disadvantages? It is very expensive. This is the basic difference between this twisted as the disadvantage, whereas twisted pair cable is very cheap, but this coaxial cable is very expensive. Some types of coaxial cables, we have got thick net and thin net. Thick net is thicker and is capable of having 500 meters long. The cable segments can be of 500 meters long, whereas thin net on the other hand is thinner and it can have maximum length of 185 meters. So this is the basic difference. It is of 500 where the thin net is 185. The next we have got optical fibers. Optical fibers are basically used for WAN, very long distance, and it is very thin strand of glass or glass-like material which are constructed that they carry light from the source at one end and it is transmitted to the next end. The light sources used are either LEDs or LDs, that is laser diodes. The data to be transmitted is modulated into light beam and then at the receiver's end the signals are demodulated. So you can say the optical fibers offer very high bandwidth and makes it capable of multi-channel communication. So optical fibers are very suitable for broadband and high speed connectivity. We have got 3 layers of optical fibers. You can see in the figure: core, cladding and protective coating. So core, what is this core? Is the inner one or the glass or plastic through which the light travels. And cladding covers the core that reflects the light back to the core. And the last one we have got protective coating that protects the fiber cable from the hostile environments. Let us see some advantages and disadvantages. What is the advantage? It is very strong. It cannot be affected by the electric and magnetic interferences. Okay. It is highly suitable for harsh industrial environments. Okay. Then it guarantees secure transmission and has a very high transmission capacity. No crosstalk, no noise, nothing can be hampered over here. It can be used for broadband transmission where several channels can be handled in parallel. What are the disadvantages? We require some persons, the technical persons, to install it, and very expensive as compared to the last one. It is difficult to install and the connecting two fibers together or even connecting the light source with the cable is very difficult process. So the connection loss is common problem. And light can reach receiver out of phase. So these are the basic disadvantages of optical fiber. I hope the transmission media, that is wire one or guided media, is clear to all of you. With this, our session is ending, and wait for the upcoming videos. Hope the session was enjoying. Thank you.